Hey, y'all, let me tell you about the night that flipped my life upside down all because of 50 bucks at a gas station. Picture this. It's pushing midnight in Mobile, Alabama, and I'm standing at pump 6, bone-tired, my scrubs clinging to me like a second skin after a 16-hour shift at the hospital. I'm Lena Carter, 30 years old, a nurse who's been running on fumes, juggling work, night school, and keeping the lights on for my little sister, Mia, and our grandpa, Earl. That 50 bucks? It was my lifeline for the week: gas to get to the hospital, a few groceries, maybe a new pair of sneakers for Mia since hers were more holes than shoe. But then I saw her. This woman at the pump next to me, all polished and put together, like she just stepped out of a boardroom, except her face was tight, her hands fumbling through her purse, muttering, "Where the hell is my card?" I could have looked away, minded my own business, but something about her, maybe it was the way her shoulders slumped, like she was carrying more than a lost wallet, it hit me right in the gut. I glanced at my gas meter, already creeping past 30 bucks, and my brain screamed, "Lena, you can't afford this." Rent was due, Earl's heart meds weren't cheap, and Mia's school trip was coming up. But my hand was already moving, swiping my card again before I could overthink it. "Hey, you good?" I asked, keeping my voice low, not wanting to embarrass her. She looked up, startled, her eyes sharp but tired. I lost my wallet. My card's gone. I'm just trying to get home." Her voice had this edge, like she wasn't used to admitting she needed help. I didn't even think twice. "How much you need?" She blinked, shaking her head. "No, I can't let you do that." But I was already punching in the numbers. "50 enough?" I said, and the pump beeped, gas flowing into her sleek little sedan. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "You don't even know me," she said, almost a whisper. I shrugged, trying to play it cool even though my stomach was doing flips. "You look like you're having a rough night." "I've been there. It's no big deal." Her name was Claire, she told me, offering a handshake that felt too formal for a gas station at midnight. "I'll pay you back," she insisted, but I waved her off. "Just get home safe," I said, climbing back into my beat-up Corolla, the engine coughing as I pulled away. I didn't think I'd ever see her again. Boy, was I wrong. The next morning, I woke up to a low rumble that shook the floorboards of our little clapboard house on Maple Street. I thought it was a delivery truck at first, but then Mia burst into my room, her eyes wide as saucers. "Lena, you gotta see this." I stumbled to the window, still in my pajamas, and yanked back the curtain. My jaw hit the floor. A line of black SUVs, shiny, tinted windows, looking like they belonged in a spy movie, was parked right outside our house. Neighbors were spilling onto their porches, clutching coffee mugs, whispering, pointing. Old Mrs. Jenkins from next door was already filming on her phone, probably live-streaming to her church group. Grandpa Earl shuffled in, his cane tapping the floor. "What in the Sam Hill is going on out there?" he grumbled, squinting through his bifocals. Before I could answer, there was a knock at the door, firm, deliberate, like it wasn't asking permission. My heart was pounding as I cracked it open, and there she was. Claire. Not in the flustered jeans and blouse combo from last night, but in a tailored blazer, her hair pulled back, looking like she owned half the city. Behind her, a guy in a suit with an earpiece stood like a statue, scanning the street. "Good morning, Lena," she said, her voice calm but warm, like we were old friends. I just stood there, dumbfounded. What is this?" Mia peeked over my shoulder, whispering. "Lena, is she, like, famous or something?" Claire smiled, stepping forward. "Can I come in? I owe you a proper thank you." I was too stunned to say no, so I opened the door wider, and she stepped into our cramped living room, her heels clicking on the scuffed hardwood. Earl crossed his arms, eyeing her like she was a tax collector. "And what exactly do you want with my granddaughter?" he asked, his voice sharp. Claire didn't flinch. "Last night, Lena helped me when she had no reason to. I'm here because that kind of kindness doesn't go unnoticed." I felt my face heat up. "It was just 50 bucks, I mumbled, but Claire shook her head. "It was more than that. You treated me like a person, not a name. That's rare." I glanced at Mia, who was practically vibrating with curiosity, and Earl, who looked like he was ready to chase her out with his cane. "Okay, Claire," I said, crossing my arms. "Who are you, really?" She sat down on our sagging couch, looking wildly out of place against the faded cushions. "My name's Claire Montgomery. I run a tech company, A few real estate ventures, nothing too exciting. What matters is you, Lena. You're out here working yourself to the bone, and you still had it in you to help a stranger. I want to return the favor. Mia let out a squeak. Wait, I looked you up. You're, like, rich. Like, billionaire rich. I shot her a look, but Claire just laughed, a real laugh, not some polished PR chuckle. I've been lucky, she said, leaning forward. But here's the deal. I'm not here to write you a check that's too easy. I want to offer you something bigger. A scholarship to finish your nursing degree, no strings. Money for Mia's school, her track team, whatever she needs. And for your grandpa, healthcare that means he never has to skip a pill again. My head was spinning. You're joking, I said, but her eyes were dead serious. I don't joke about gratitude, she said. You gave me something last night, dignity, when I was standing there, helpless. I want to give you a shot at the life you're fighting so hard for. Earl snorted. Sounds like a fairy tale. What's the catch, lady? Claire met his gaze, unflinching. No catch, sir. I don't invest in people to own them. I do it because sometimes, life gives you a chance to change someone's path. This feels like one of those moments. I wanted to laugh, to tell her this was insane, but then I looked at Mia. Her eyes were bright, hopeful, like she could already see herself running track in new shoes, maybe even going to college without me killing myself to pay for it. And Earl, he was trying to look tough, but I saw the way his hands shook, the way he worried every time his prescription ran low. Still, something in me held back. Why me? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Claire's smile softened. Because last night, when I was just some lady at a gas pump, you saw me. Nobody else did. The room went quiet, except for the hum of the fridge and the distant bark of a neighbor's dog. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. Everything in me screamed to say no, this was too much, too fast, too good to be true. But then Mia grabbed my hand, squeezing tight. Lena, this could change everything, she whispered. Earl cleared his throat. You're a fool if you think this doesn't come with strings, but you're a bigger fool if you don't at least hear her out. I looked at Claire, searching her face for any hint of a lie, but all I saw was sincerity and maybe a flicker of her own fear, like she was afraid I'd say no. I need time, I said finally, my voice shaking. Claire nodded, sliding a business card across the coffee table. Take as long as you need. My offer's good, whether it's tomorrow or a year from now. She stood, gave me one last look, and walked out, her security team falling in step like shadows. The SUVs rolled away, leaving our street quiet again, but my head was anything but. That day, I couldn't focus. I burned the toast at breakfast, forgot to pack Mia's lunch, and kept staring at that damn card like it was a bomb. By noon, the whole neighborhood was buzzing. Mrs. Jenkins cornered me at the mailbox, her eyes gleaming. Lena, who were those people? You in some kind of trouble? I forced a smile, said it was nothing, but the whispers followed me everywhere. By evening, my phone was blowing up coworkers, old high school friends, even my ex from 3 years ago, all wanting to know what was going on. Mia came home from track, her face lit up. Coach says I could make varsity if I keep it up. Lena, varsity? Imagine if I didn't have to worry about gear or fees. Her voice trailed off, and I felt that familiar knot in my chest. She deserved so much more than I could give her on my own. Later, I sat on the porch with Earl, the air cool and heavy with the smell of rain. He sipped his coffee, then said, You're scared this ain't real, aren't you? I nodded, my throat tight. Feels like a dream I'm gonna wake up from. He set his mug down, his voice softer than I'd heard in years. Sometimes, Lena, a blessing comes dressed up like a risk. You just gotta decide if you're brave enough to take it. That night, I lay in bed, staring at Claire's card. My whole life, I'd been the one holding it together for Mia, for Earl, for the memory of my mom, who'd fought so hard before cancer took her. That $50 at the gas station, it wasn't just money. It was me saying, I see you, to someone who looked like they needed it. And now, here was Claire, saying it back in a way I never could have imagined. The next morning, I sat in my car outside the hospital, my thumb hovering over her number. My heart was racing, but Mia's words from the day before echoed in my head. Don't play scared, Lena. I hit call. The phone rang twice. Then Claire's voice came through, warm and steady. Lena, I was hoping you'd call. I took a deep breath. I'm in. I don't know what happens next, but I'm in. There was a pause, and I swear I could hear her smile. That's all I needed to hear. Weeks later, I was sitting in a classroom, my books paid for, my tuition covered. Mia was tearing up the track in new gear, her laughter louder than I'd heard in years. Earl's medicine cabinet was stocked, and for the first time, he didn't wince when he opened his bills. But it wasn't just the money. It was the weight lifting off my shoulders, the hope creeping into our little house. That $50? It wasn't just gas money. It was a reminder that kindness can ripple further than you ever expect. So, here's the thing. Y'all, what would you do if a stranger showed up with an offer like that? Would you trust it, or would you walk away? Drop a comment, tell me your take. Is it crazy to say yes to something this big, or is it crazier to say no? Share this story if it hit you like it hit me, because maybe, just maybe, it'll remind someone out there that a small act of kindness can change everything. Subscribe if you want more stories like this, real, raw, and full of heart. Because in a world that feels cold sometimes, we could all use a little more of that.